Hello, 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 everybody. We're going to get started. Going to get started in a little bit, as always. And say hi in the chat. I will say hi as well. Another standard UI UX review coming up. Going to wait for some people to come in. What's up, technology? Ariane, Derek, Miguel, hello, Darsh. You are not the first there. You're like the fourth, I think. All right, hello, real thing. Mohammed, what is up? Joy, hello, Robbie. Reza, King, Tom, Rana. All right. Well, the Discord channel is linked in the description, so you can join there. All right. We have a rare Sunday stream. Been extremely busy getting our house ready to sell, put on the market in about 2 days, and then next Sunday, if all goes as planned, we're going to be moving into the new place. Very excited about that. So we're just going to let people filter in here a little bit more. We already have 100 concurrent viewers, so that's pretty good. Sometimes I will dabble in illustration, but I don't consider myself like an illustration expert. That's an entirely different field than just UI, UX design. All right. Web app UI design and dashboard design are the same. I would say dashboard design is kind of like a subset of, you know, app UI design. A dashboard is just like one category of a UI design. All right. So what we're going to do today, in case you're new, is a live UI UX review. So what that means is the instructions are basically in the description here in YouTube. You click on the Discord server, which is this chat application right here, and then you join up, and then you have to assign a role if this is the first time you've joined the Discord server. So you have to click one of the reaction buttons below, and then that will open up all these other channels. And the one that you want to go to is negative space submissions. And then you submit your UI design, preferably in the form of a live URL, like a .com, .net, whatever, and then I will review them. All right, and I'll give you my opinion on what needs to be improved, and then I'll ask the chat for most of them. I'll just rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And that's all we do. So if you really want to get your design reviewed, because I don't get to all of them, I do this for an hour, then you can send a super chat. Just mention your Discord username. It makes it easier for myself and JVS, if he's here, to help out. All right, so before we begin, though, we have to mention our sponsor. And this is the final live stream they're sponsoring unless they choose to renew. And that is hover.com. All right. So if you click on the top link in the description here on YouTube, it'll take you to this page right here. Hello, Design Course fans. And basically, yes, they're a domain name registrar, but they offer up to 400 different domain extensions. So that includes .design, .inc, .photo. There's so many, it's not even funny. So just enter what you want here, like your, for instance, like your name or your design business or whatever for your design portfolio or your developer portfolio, and then just choose an appropriate domain name. And I'm sure a lot will be available because they offer so many. So also you will get 10% off your first order at checkout using the promo code Design Course. So definitely take up that offer. Supporting my sponsors, of course, helps me do these weekly live streams. All right, so check that out. Now let's go ahead and get started with the very first one. So I'm looking at, there we go. All right, so this is the first submission that we received. This is not finished yet. It's still under development. All right. Okay, so let us see here. First impression is it's pretty solid. A tad bit generic on the illustration side, but it still works. Software made with love. You know, good separation between the title and the description here, and the subheadline rather. Contact and services. You might want to beef those up a tad bit in scale. Maybe push them down just a little bit more white space. just to separate it from these two blips of content, but still that's pretty simple. You may want to have a little bit more white space between your navigation links as well. But all in all, pretty simple. It's very simple, but it's also effective because there's nothing really blatantly wrong and obvious here. This section right here, it's not too bad, but I probably want to see a little bit more white space on the top and bottom from the headline right here, just to separate it out a little bit more. And also maybe make this you can either do this, you can make this a little bit smaller in font size, just a tad bit, or maybe just decrease the, go from black to a dark gray, just to separate it out a little bit more from this title right here. Or instead of doing that, you could make these bold, the titles. All right, made by us. All right, this is all, you know, it's simple, but it's pretty. One thing I don't like though, notice how this container is all the way 100% out here. That's good, but then you kind of keep what in here. It's like a little bit of white space on the side, so it's just not consistent in my opinion. Small things like this, you want to fix that because the bottom of the circle is getting cut off. Yeah, but for the most part, this is all, you know, this is all pretty solid. It's really simple. There's not like a lot of bells and whistles happening here, but at the same time, what's most important is all of the UI design fundamentals are pretty much there. Let's see how it behaves responsively. I would probably want to resituate this a little bit more because having these unequal check marks being kind of just randomly placed, put them in their own column, and that'll make that read a little bit better. All right, what do you think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the very best. Somebody said a 7, 6. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be hard pressed to give this like a real bad score, that's for sure. It's definitely above a 6. A lot of people are saying 7, and you know what? I think that's pretty fair. I'm going to go ahead and say a 7 for that as well. Pretty solid. All right, let's continue on. Next up is GD. Obviously still a work in progress. Everybody has a work in progress. That's okay. Signed in page has a bunch of bugs right now, but users aren't supposed to really use it. Okay. So there's a .wtf extension. Very interesting. So what is the situation here? This is just a sign in page. So, okay, I'm not supposed to be able to sign in. So we're just looking at this sign in page basically. I might want to take the background just a bit. Here, let's get the background here. The background color, let's make it just a tad bit darker so we can really see that middle panel like that. Now you can really see this panel a little bit more. And you can see the color code RGB 243, 243, 243. Outside of that, you do have an issue with this right here, the type right here, and it's the issue of visual hierarchy. So if let me refactor this real quick. Maybe we'll take this color black. All right, that's a little bit better. Now each one of these, this is LIP. I might want to indent these slightly and push them down just a little bit from the title, so margin top, you know, like 1M unit. And then maybe put a little icon next to them, like a little red circle with an exclamation point, a white exclamation point in the middle. That way you can really see that these are errors that need to be addressed. But you know what? Here, I just realized something though. In terms of usability, you might want to be able to, instead of putting everything at the bottom, like all the errors that are existing, you know, that are present in these three fields, put them in line, like with each element. So for instance, for the username, if it must contain one number and they didn't do that, don't put that down here. Put it right underneath the actual text field. That would make it a lot more relevant. Have an account sign in, that's definitely not enough contrast. So you want to change that so people will be able to see it easier. Sign up, this works fine though because it's such a large block. So yeah, that's about it, I would say. Maybe one thing to do with this area, the sign in and interact with thousands of communities, maybe put a line break after thousands or before thousands, and that way it doesn't extend beyond this frame right here. All right, so what do you all think this person should get for their sign-in page? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. Oh, and JVS said the WTF top-level domain, you can get that at hover.com. Oh, that's awesome. /design course. That's awesome. All right. We got a super chat, which we'll take care of after this review. Yeah, I mean, all in all, this is pretty solid. This is what it was originally. So for this, I'm gonna have to give this a. We'll just do a. Let's see here. 6.7. Seems like most of you agree with that, anyhow. All right, so that'll work. All right, so next up, hi Gary, please review my landing page, Zilio.com. You reviewed it last year. I got a bad rating, and I revamped everything and considered your feedback. All right. All right. Okay, so let's think here. There is a little bit of an issue with this type right here. Now, if I give you a bad rating, I'm going to assume it's probably you're going to get a better rating this time. But I can't remember, that far back. I do so many of these. What I would do first is I would probably expand your container, the width of your container. I can see how there's a column here, kind of ends here, this column, right? It starts here and then ends here. For, this larger viewport, you could probably extend it out to here and here, and that give you a little bit more room in the middle. Next up, the type here, create mobile apps in minutes without coding or design skills. All right, so I'm not sure what font weights we have available to us. H1, font weights, bold. Okay, so that's already bold. Line height, I might want to adjust. So like 1M to 1M unit, so that kind of gets them a little bit closer. Now the subheadline, let's take this. Let's put a couple dots, or periods rather. And then maybe we'll push it down. So you have margin top 5 pixels. Let's do 1M unit. And now we've kind of reworked this part a little bit. Now, one thing I don't like, I think, is this section right here, because it's just a little bit too much type. We want to simplify this subheadline area, this headline and the subheadline area, and not include more text, especially text that's filtering in and out. So I might want to do this. I'm just going to take this area, just delete it. So now see how we simplified it. And of course, we'll take the sign up button. I would probably take this, move it down a little bit, start right here, and then have, because there's a little bit too much white space here. So at least we can like simplify it in that manner. Like I said, if we extended this container a little bit more to have more width to work with, you wouldn't have this being really close, this little graphic being close to this. So yeah, just I would make those changes. Visually build with ease. Now, in the context of these three columns right here, I would probably take this Our Community and just center it, and also give it more white space on the top and bottom. So if we take this and I go text align center, I knew that would screw this little element up here, but just assume it stayed right here when you fix that. I would also do margin, not 4M units, maybe not 3, maybe like 2.4 M units on the top and bottom. And now we have a little bit more room to work with. And of course, you would want to extend the white space below this to match up here as well. Looking at these, yeah, it's like this section, I might want to make this just a little bit larger. Oops. it's affecting everything because of the how the selectors are. Span, LI. That's kind of strange. Well, let me just take this right here. We'll just do the element style. Font size, 1.1 M units. Let's do 1.3. Margin bottom. And unfortunately, margin bottom is not working. Let's do padding. Let's see, margin top. Yeah, I might want to do like 1.8 M units. That way we're kind of separating this, the title out from these. And I think that works a little bit better than having them so close together like you have down here. Sometimes it might be nice to put in like a brief little container in each one of these, like a card. And that way they're kind of a little bit more encapsulated and not so close together. If I do background white, padding, 1M unit, but then inside you would want to space those out, each of those three elements vertically, like a lot more. So like margin 1M 0, and then also this margin, and then at the bottom here we'll take this one, margin bottom. So like just imagine like having this across all these, but also a white space in between each container, and I think it might work out a little bit better. So that's what it looked like by default. All right, so users are saying this area definitely, it looks like it's just a screenshot. Don't want that. Use actual HTML text. It's a little hard to read, and it throws off the flow of the design because it's so different. More white space between these elements here too, vertically, just like I did up there. What do you guys think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the very best. Looks like the menu goes away completely on mobile, so that's kind of an issue. I'd at least have a hamburger menu. A lot of 6s. Pretty much agree with that. Somebody said a 4. Someone said a 6.2. Yeah, for me, I'm going to give this like a... I have to agree with that. I'm going to say a 6.2 or so. All right. Thank you for the super chat. Let us continue. All right. Who are we? Oh, I think right here. Landing page for an art-oriented web agency. Now, what I would do here, where it says grow your art business online, you can have this image and maybe offset the image to the right, and then that way you can do the whole broken layout text overlapping thing like you are now, but not to such a significant degree where it's kind of like centered in line with this. So I would offset, which I can't find an easy way to get to that photograph to do any of this because of how it is structured. What is this space thing? Oh yeah, if I do that, that's going to throw everything off. But if you, hopefully you understand what I mean. Up here, this is a lot of, this is a lot of links. I would think about possibly trying to condense that as much as possible because users will get a little bit too, I guess you could say, overwhelmed with this amount of links. So think about that. Also, increase the white space between these elements, between each link. Coming down. Bring everything together beautifully. This right here, not enough contrast. That would fail the color contrast, WCAG contrast guidelines. So I'd increase the font size and increase the contrast by making it a little bit darker at least. Also, it's a little strange having the find out more kind of looking almost exactly like the labels. So you want to style this find out more buttons a little bit differently so that it doesn't take as much, it shouldn't be this prominent in terms of how everything's structured right here. maybe I'll rework it really fast. So we'll take these. We're gonna take the, it should be at least right there. Font size is just as small. We'll go 1 EM with that. And then the part that really will fix this is the buttons. So the background color is designated as being white. Let's go ahead and make it this color. All right, so that's already an improvement. And let's do a border radius of like 0.3 M units or so. And maybe do a margin top to increase the white space above it of like 1 M unit. So maybe something like that. I'm still not sure about having 4 of these. It's okay though. I think it's definitely an improvement. Here's the after, but if I refresh it, we'll see the before. Definitely what I had was an improvement, or a step in the right direction at least. This part, the line height's a little bit strange on this. Maybe 30 pixels. There's also not enough white space on the right side. And maybe we can do a color adjustment. Not white though. That was just to get a value there. Maybe something like that. And then find more about. I would restructure this a little bit differently because there's just a lot of white space over here unnecessarily. And maybe push this down a little bit. So like margin top. There we go. It's a little bit better. Font weight. Bold. Font size. We're using pixels for this. And then maybe a margin bottom. Or like 0.5 EM or so. So I think we worked a little better. Here's my after. If I refresh, you'll see the original. I think we improved that a little bit at least. Again, I want to probably beef these up a little bit, or at least increase the contrast just a tad bit. Find out more. Again, I would probably, I mean, it's okay this way because this is pretty large. All right, what is this? What does everybody think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. A strong 2.1. This is definitely better than a 2.1. Yeah, it's going to be in the 6s for me, close to a 7 at least. I like this area down here. I like the footer. Yeah, I mean, I'm even comfortable with giving this at least a 7. I would say. So that's what we're gonna do. 7. Pretty solid. Next up is who? It is for New Telco. New Telco. All right. Let's refresh this, see if there's any animation. All right, we got this interesting. Oh, look at that. Isn't that snazzy? It's letting us know where their locations are. The interconnection company. All right. I would probably take this whole section, these 3 elements, and push them to the very left of the container, which is defined by where the logo starts. That way you'll kind of get it away from this element, so to create a little bit more room. I like the uniqueness of it, like these bright green kind of stripes. Yeah, so You might want to push the contact button down just a tad bit. I'll give it more white space from these two elements. I might want to make these labels right here, or these values, make them white. Font size, we'll go 0.8 em units, or even 0.7, and maybe optionally make it font weight bold, but you don't have to. I think this is fine or this is fine. That way it kind of stands out just a tad bit better, in my opinion. But again, that's really subjective for the most part. This is a little bit, the alignment's a little bit, it's suffering just a tad bit here. So it says products, and I assume this is probably a description of the products right here. It's just kind of off, it's offline. Like, so we have this column defined by this big block of text here, but we're offset just a little bit. If anything, move it on the same column, or put this underneath here on its own line and make it a little bit larger, and maybe increase the contrast to separate. You know, this is the description of this. This is like a subheading basically of this label or this headline. And then we have each of these services with associated descriptions underneath them styled the same. All right, this area is not too bad right here. All right, what do you think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Looks like this doesn't work. The menu might be a work in progress. Some people are saying 5. Oh no, Darsh, don't be, hey, stop that. No spamming. 1 answer per person is just enough. Darsh, dude, we got it. Don't make me have to put you in a timeout. There's a timeout option. Like you're in kindergarten or something. Okay. I'm going to say for this, yeah, this is like a high 6, low 7. So I'm just going to give it like a 6.8, 6.9, I think. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not, I mean, it easily could be in the 7s. All right. Next up, let's see. What do you think of this? All right. What do I think of this? Well, I think that you didn't post anything. Figma. All right. Oh, wow. We're already at 28 minutes. See, mobile app designs in the web are kind of hard for me to visualize, like how much of it's going to be seen on a phone. So I'm just like, I don't even know how to begin start rating this particular design. Plus, it's small, and stupid Fire or Chrome doesn't let me. Oh, there we go. So we have to zoom up 150% to get a better look. So I'm not even sure what's happening. Is it some sort of bank app? For the most part, like the icons and the way things are situated are looking pretty decent. They would be easy to use. There's good contrast. This right here, this section, this banner, seems a little bit, the type needs work. Like no wallet KYC needed. It's like kind of small. And there's not a lot of white space between these elements, so it's just a little bit like we have good scale right here in the type and the icons, but this is all like really slow or small, so it's like really throwing it off in my opinion. But there's a ton of icons here. I might want to rethink that just because there's so many different options here, and there might be a better way of presenting this instead of just doing all of these icons, because that could overwhelm somebody. So you might want to try to simplify this initial landing page or the home page of the app or whatever it is. For the most part, though, it seems pretty simple. Most of the design fundamentals for what it is are there. So what's everyone think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. So apparently this is already an app that's like in existence from some major company. There they go. They updated it. So it's a clone, a straight up clone, huh? Well, for what it is, I'll just give it, you know what, I'm not even going to bother with a rating just because people have been saying the damn thing's a clone. All right. Next up. This is still in progress, a clothing concept. Yeah, if it's an exact copy, I don't want to waste my time because whoever the designer is, the original designer, is not here to take my feedback. All right, shop clothing. Let's refresh, see if there's any, yeah, there is some animation. I think maybe shop clothing could be reworked a tad bit better. Seems a little bit separated, like these two words from each other a bit much. But I like, you know, you're being unique here. Not sure what, I guess that stays there permanently. So shop clothing, I understand the idea is to be, you know, to have something different, but it feels like I need some sort of additional call to action somewhere, even if it's just a scroll down. Look at that guy. All right, so this seems, is this a work in progress? Yeah, it is. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's there's not much here. So if this was a clothing brand, I'd be like, what, you know, what the hell is going on? I would want to see more clothing pictures and stuff like that. The ability to buy stuff, maybe. Like I said, it is a work in progress. So there's not much here, unfortunately. Also, it's an accessibility thing. When you only have underlines on your text fields, you're not supposed to do that. Some people will think those are just borders or something, and then we're not going to know where to click into. So that's one issue I would probably remedy. Send button being kind of exactly this, almost styled exactly the same as the actual form fields are here. That's not good because it's not immediately obvious that it's a send button. So I would change that. Maybe use this yellow color for that. But yeah, there's just not enough happening here. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you guys think of what does exist here? Yeah, for this, I'm going to have to go with 5.5. It has potential, but it's just not finished, and it could be very good. It's just there's just not enough content here for me to really gauge it. All right, the best looks of the season. Find something that fits your need. So the letter spacing is a little bit weird, so the type needs work in this area. Again, one of those situations where there's not enough, you know, context, and it's not even a prototype I can use, nothing live on the web. But I would fix this headline area here. Just not enough for me to really even bother with a rating or much of a critique. I'm redesigning my website. This is my initial design and need pointers. Okay, let's check this out. Oh wait, before we check that out, it is halfway through the show. So that means, of course, that I have to plug hover.com, which is the sponsor of the live stream, and you can register over 400 different domain extensions. And you also get 10% off your first order at the checkout using promo code Design Course. The link is the top link in the description here. And like I said, 400 different domain extensions, including .wtf from somebody else who has that, whose design I reviewed. So .design, .art, I think, .photo, .inc. You know, there's so many, and so many that will work for a design portfolio or a developer portfolio. So definitely check them out and take advantage of this offer. Definitely, you know, you get free domain privacy, all this stuff down here as well. All right, let's continue on. It was this person right here, an Adobe Xd Prototype. All right. Can I hit play or extend this out? All right, so there's nothing here that allows me to interact with it, so there's no prototyping. It's just this right here, Maestro. So this is like Maestro. This is like a car engine oil. The type is a little bit strange. I wish I had this in the browser so that I could help, you know, make some adjustments to it, but it just seems like there's not a lot of white space. Everything's up real big in your face, kind of. The extended letter spacing kind of makes it hard to read in some areas. I like the colors though overall, and so there's no issue with color and contrast, but I just think some small adjustments on the type would help, you know, go a long way. This vertical scroll down here, I would get rid of that, just because, you know, vertical text like that thrown up right against your main text will just clutter things. So I would get rid of that. The buy online button, that's a good call to action right there because it really sticks out. It's not, you know, it's not a color that's used anywhere else. So it's one of the things that you see first. So that works. But yeah, not really anything else for me to review. Just one page here. We'll do a quick rating. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think? Yeah, for me, this seems like it's probably just a flat out 7. Yeah, 7 or so. All righty. What am I doing? Okay. My personal portfolio, made it last month. It's still a work in progress. So definitely want to probably start rethinking this, unfortunately. All right. So we already have some layout issues here too. If I hover over this, it's completely showing up on top of the About Me. Get rid of this container here. This blue container, you do not need it. It just kind of makes it feel boxy. And we want open floor plans, right? You see some of these houses back that were made, you know, 40, 50 years ago. They're really boxy. But the modern approach is to have an open floor plan, all right? Same thing with designs. You don't want to contain everything in boxes like this, especially in this context. So I would probably rethink this layout drastically, because even if you got rid of this, then you're just left with this headline. It's just kind of like blah, blah, blah. I would really, what I would do if I were you is I would try to go to Dribble and, you know, like just get inspiration on like type in portfolio. And just see, you know, just spend time go through hundreds of portfolios and try to get ideas for layouts. Don't steal, but, you know, one process of becoming a better designer is just observing other design, and just rethink how you're approaching your design. Compare, you know, if you have 2 monitors, get your design up there and then get another design up that you really like and you think is great, and just ask yourself, you know, where is mine lacking? So I would definitely do that. So the cards, you know, these need work as well because there's hardly any white space at the bottom, and You know, you got a black border around them, completely unnecessary. So, you know, definitely check that out. And also check out my Scrimba design course, scrimba.com. I will, there's a 9 or 8 hours, it's almost 9 hours long, the UI design bootcamp. Definitely check that out. Almost 3,000 people have enrolled in this already. So definitely, yeah, it's suited for beginners as well. So we'll go ahead and give this a rating, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Let's see how it responds responsively. It is responsive. But yeah, this section up here is like just needs rework big time. A lot of like white space unnecessarily. So yeah, I know what I'll give this one. I'm gonna give this one a kind of like it's like a 3.6 or so. Keep at it. All right. Lazy Turtle. First time building a site for a client. Still adding content and images to other pages. Home features. Pricing just took me way too long. Yeah, I know. The cursor effect was too much. All right. Eagle Bluff Ranch. Weddings and events. So the weddings and events kind of gets lost right here because this is a high, you know, it's just a photograph. This is a really nice ranch or wedding place or whatever. Oh man, I feel a sneeze coming on. I'm gonna lose it and then that's just gonna suck. All right, well anyhow, I might want to increase the contrast. I mean, you could figure out a way to get this up over here where there's not a lot happening behind it. That might be one take that you could do. But I think it feels like it gets lost a little bit. So anyhow, after that, so we have the navigation in the middle. I'm not sure about that because that's not what people are used to. Might be best to stick that at the top just because, you know, people are used to menus being and navigations being at the top. Outside of that, this part's not too bad. All right, so I like this section. This is pretty good. The venue, the packages, the gallery. It's good photography as well. Yeah, good separation of, you know, 3 different fonts working pretty well with each other here. Or these might be the same fonts here, I'm not sure. Let's use what font? Charter and Charter, yeah. This is Scriptus. All right, so yeah, not too bad here overall. I mean, it's simple. Yeah, I'd say if this is your first project for a client, you know, you're definitely going. This is solid. Yeah. What do you think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Let's see what happens responsively. So the menu gets tucked up here. I probably push that out, a little bit more white space from the edge of the browser. Yeah, for this, I have no problem giving this one a 7 or so. Not bad. All right. Next up is who? This is a work in progress. Maybe you can give me some feedback on what I can do for the hero image since I really don't like it. All right. This looks pretty decent already. Let's expand this. All right, so pretty good. I like, this is Montserrat, I think, isn't it? Navigation's pretty solid here, this nav bar. This right here, I like the photograph, but I think if you can make these, like the Bezier kind of blob or whatever, if you could simplify it and make them more smooth, because like there's some edges that are just not smooth. I would try, you could still use the same photograph because I like it. The photograph works well for the most part with the, you know, like this type. This isn't black. I could tell there's some blue in it. That kind of works with this couch. Yeah, if you could figure out a way to simplify, you know, your lines here, because it's just, it seems too jagged and too much detail in the edges, it would work well. Outside of that, I like the headline. It's really big and large, separated from the rest of the type. Pretty good. Pretty decent area right here. That's a lot of type. Might want to condense that, but also maybe increase the line height, especially if there's this much type. Overall, this is pretty solid though from what I see. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think? Well, I don't think, I think the shape of this being in here has nothing to do with saying what's it have to do with the topic. I mean, it's just, you could use this shape for almost anything, but I still think there's too much detail in it. It needs to be simplified a lot. It's just one way to present, you know, a photograph or an illustration. For me, I'm gonna give this a rating of, yeah, I think 7.5. I think that'll work. It has a lot going for it. Well, it's not responsive because it's an Adobe Xd Prototype. All right, next up. Meet, all right, my portfolio and blog. It's a work in progress. Let's refresh this. The first thing that I think when I look at this is there's quite a bit of color here, you know, which is okay, but in this area, it seems like we can rework that a bit. Yeah, so let me try to rework this just a tad bit. So that's not going to work. All right, so that's fine. Like these two right here being like this, I think are fine. It's mainly, if I go margin bottom here, pushing that down more will help. And then maybe this area as well. I'm not sure. Maybe increase the size a little bit. And then maybe decreasing the contrast slightly. We'll see. Font, was just not font color. What am I doing? Color. Again, we're not going to leave it blue. I'm just doing that to get access to our color picker here. Maybe something like that if you wanted to go that route, but I still think that these little vertical separators a little bit much. What might be better than that is just you know, tiny little circles or dots in the center to separate them, because it makes it a little bit hard to read using these little separators right here. So you could also completely just get rid of it. So you could do that and push this down. I would also get rid of the drop shadow on here. There's a color drop shadow on both of these. I personally don't like that. And I also might reduce the amount of white space inside of these. You can see we have padding top and at 1 rem, so maybe like a half rem unit might be better, just to simplify that area. So here's the original, of course. See, it's the lack of white space is a big issue because it's all close together. Next up, again, I might want to just a slight adjustment on this area. So I would take these and do like do this. Maybe that color, and then take the line height and increase it slightly, very slightly. Maybe to like 1.7 M units, but do it for this as well. It's just, it didn't apply it to this second one. I think that would be better. It would be easier to read too. So that's the original here. Yeah, lack of white space between these three elements right here. The title, subtitle, and these little tags. The tags shouldn't stick out that much because they're not anywhere near as important as like the title right here. So the background color, you know, that should be changed to, if I put blue again, just so I can get access to that color picker. You know, we can have a very subtle background, but I wouldn't make it much more. I would leave it like that and then change the color. Oops. Change the font color, which is right here. Not to white, but instead to, let's get this color here, to something like that. There we go. I think that's a much better option. So then we could do margin top. Maybe 1.5 M units. And then also take this. I think font weight, we'll put normal. And then font color. Again, oops, color's already defined right here. Change that to so I think this is a better refactor. This is the after, and then if I refresh it, you'll see the before, and that's the before. So we really need to establish that visual hierarchy between those three elements, because otherwise you're stuck with this, and it's just it makes it a little bit harder to read. Like these two elements are very close to each other, and these tags shouldn't stick out as much. All right, all in all, you know, not too bad. Just some things that you want to, you know, what I pointed out. Let's do a rating. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Let's check it out and see if it's responsive. See, in this case, you don't need a hamburger menu because you only have 2 links. You have about and blog. You can always have room, no matter how small the phone is, to have about and blog, and that way you reduce the number of clicks that you have. That's just unnecessary. Just take that PK, push it over a little bit, you know, left in line, and then have your about and blog always be there. All right, so for this, I'm gonna say a 6.7 or so. Yeah. All right. We had my website is, that's actually their username. Interesting. .com. I'm gonna get this up off of on the other monitor just to make sure it's legit. All right, let's refresh this. All right, Aether frequency, is that how you pronounce it? The current, yeah. What is happening? Why did that stay? That's kind of strange. The currently selected page being like this, it's a really, what is that, like a very light blue. Makes it kind of hard to read, so maybe if you want to leave it that color, you can. There's also some sort of weird, what is happening here? Why is my DevTools not working or loading? What's happening with this page? Oh well. I would make it bold as well. Little issue with white space between these three elements. You have three different pieces of type here. You have a headline, you have a sub-headline, and then you have a sub headline right here as well, a little description. I think you need to space those out vertically a little bit more and maybe scale this down, this free trial for apps, that text, this little line, scale it down even more and or decrease the contrast a little bit more. That way you really solidify a good visual hierarchy between these few bits of type. Let's see, what else here? These, I really don't like mid-grays for like panel backgrounds or anything like that. So I would probably adjust that so that, you know, make it really light gray. If you make it a really light gray, you can, of course, change this, the number values here to something dark, not white. And that's all it is. So yeah, if I had access to the DevTools, that's the first time it's ever happened. Why is my DevTools not working? It's weird. Oh well. Can anybody else get their DevTools up if they go to the site? All right, well anyhow, we're just gonna do a rating, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think? Seems to be responsive enough. Oh, it disabled specific keys. All right, well, that's unfortunate. Because I could have helped out a little bit more so. Yeah, for me, I'm going to go ahead and give this just like a... There's not much there, but I'm going to say like a 6.5 or so. Just kind of like middle of the road there. All right, we have time for one more. No more super chats. Don't send a super chat, by the way, because I'm not going to do it. Let's see here. So, is this the one? I already did this one. Yes, I did. All right, a mental health consultant consultation website for a client who forced us to use this dull blue color. Please review this. It's a fully working prototype, except for booking a book appointment call to action. All right, let's check it out. Get down there. There we go. All right. So it says never mind. Okay. That's an E, I think. Okay. Never mind. Okay. That's kind of interesting. That's like a little like digital effect on those. I don't know. I might get rid of this line separator right here. It doesn't go all the way across. I think this border is just probably unnecessary for the most part. Or if you wanted to use it, make it go all the way to the right and to the left. The headline, it's a pretty long headline, but that's okay. I think you should probably stick with the same type for the sub-headline because these two fonts don't really go well together as a font pairing, in my opinion. So you could still just use the same type, but just make it significantly smaller. And you could also change up the contrast and color as well if you wanted to. Book appointment button, pretty solid call to action. That works. This area over here, this little blip, you want to separate where it says Maria, the person's name. There's a visual hierarchy issue between these two elements, so I'd probably make this a little bit smaller even. Maybe even put a little circular avatar just so you can put a face to the name for that section. Next up, stories. I would probably even take this background and make it even darker than what it is. Between this element we're seeing right here, this type, and then this type, and then these photographs being quite close. There's a little bit of a clutter issue here, so you would help solve that by taking this background right here, this collage, so to speak, and pushing it further and making it darker. You'd still be able to see people, but at least this type right here would be a little bit easier to read, and there'd be more space around it. A little strange having an empty space here. You might want to push this out further, maybe make it a little bit smaller. And again, same comments about this. I would just make this darker if you're going to do this. Kind of makes it hard to read, especially with these borders, these lines. They're high contrast, like 1 pixel lines. So it just makes this stuff a little bit harder to follow and to read and to scan. All right. Wow, this goes on and on and on. Yeah, a lot of borders here. If you're going to use borders, you can use them, but maybe just really make it this color, this background color, and just increase the brightness slightly. All right, what do you think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. There's some good things happening here. I'm gonna give this one a flat out 7. Yeah, I think so. All right. That is the very last review that we're going to do. And of course, if you haven't yet taken up the offer from the sponsor, hover.com, do that. You get 10% off your first order at checkout using the promo code DESIGNCOURSE. And top link in the description, you can get there in 2 seconds, and 400 domain extensions. So that's .design, that's .inc, that's .photo, I think it's .art, and it's even .wtf. Who would have thought? So you get free domain privacy, good support, domain email. So definitely check that out. If they choose to renew, it's because you guys signed up and used it, which helps support the channel and allows me to do these things weekly, on a weekly basis. So thanks for the super chats, a few that I did receive, and everybody else who participated. I will see you all soon.